Across the globe, women's funds are creating dynamic communities around women's solutions, philanthropy, and leadership. Women's funds understand that it is women who often hold the assets and solutions needed to accelerate progress. So how does the Women's Funding Network connect women?
The Women's Funding Network optimizes the impact and success of women's funds, acting as a global champion for investment in women. We are unmatched in terms of our size, reach, and connections. With more than 130 members on 6 continents and $50 million per year in global investment in women and girls, and tens of thousands of donors, change makers, and thought leaders, with a shared passion for bringing women's ideas to the forefront of global problem solving.
Women's funds are foundations that invest financial contributions from women and men in women-led organizations and programs that build lasting change in communities around the world. Hear what women who are on the forefront of delivering major women-led change are saying.
An interesting story that's relevant to the work that we're doing is how I got started in this. So after Katrina, when I called to find out when the schools would reopen, because we had lost our home, we lost everything we owned. I have 3 children. I'm a single mother, which is the typical public school parent in New Orleans. And what is incredibly important is that I'm not trained as an organizer, didn't come from this field of work of how to raise funds and to participate in the nonprofit arena. But what they do is sort of enable us and empower us with learning and training and support and resources that we wouldn't otherwise have access to.
The work of the Women's Funding Network and its members funds in the areas affected by Hurricane Katrina has been made possible by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation and the Ms. Foundation for Women.
Katrina was a very, very traumatic and devastating experience for the women on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And as usual, when catastrophes of those type happen, women of color are the ones that are affected more by the devastation. And with the women's funds, we were able to help those women, to inspire them, to give them hope, to help rebuild their lives and rebuild communities. Women have always been on the front line. If you think back during biblical days, always, women are the ones that are the movers and the shakers. And you've heard that saying, behind every good man there's a good woman. Well, behind every woman there's another woman there to help her, to support her, to build her up when she's getting weak and think that she's sinking. Women are always there. We're the ones that make things happen.
I think women are the backbone of the community. We're the backbone of the family. We're the caretakers. We're the multitaskers. We're the ones who have to address the needs of children and the elderly, and often are the ones who have learned through generations of how to do a lot with little. And what I love about this kind of work and being a part of this network with the Women's Fund is thinking about women leading the work not from a place of lack, but from a place of creative energy. And I think that's another reason that women are leading on the front lines of this, because we're always looking to creatively solve problems.
Women are creating momentum with collective action, and their voices are amplified and recognized by those who fuel their work. The Kellogg Foundation is an ardent supporter of women's funds because it knows its investment in them will leverage assets, networks, and expertise to address issues that perpetuate poverty and build the long-term economic security and well-being of low-income women and families.
I think what's important to take away for the field of philanthropy is the need to support advocacy work and organizing work across issues, the need to make sure that we are supporting cross-sector discussions in support of advocacy, and the ability of philanthropic institutions to stay in there for the long haul, to really support the growth and maturity of advocacy organizations, because they're going to produce the real policy and systems change that we want.
A movement is only as strong as its members. The Women's Funding Network encourages the growth and capacity of its members by offering training, investment, and tools to strengthen their organizations.
The energy in the room was just fantastic. Folks who were not from the area who came down post-Katrina, and those of us organizing on the ground. When you put those perspectives together, I think you just end up with a very powerful combination.
The way that women's funds can support us in sustaining our work, of course, initially is grants that not only help push an issue but build capacity. Secondly, putting us in partnership and then just helping us build relationships with people that we might not get to know otherwise.
I hope it proves that no matter what the title, no matter what the letters after the name and the comma, that we're all just people. And we here are united to make the world a better place. And we do that by addressing the needs of women and children. Because if you take care of women and children, you'll take care of the rest of the world.
By investing in women's leadership, women's funds have propelled the movement, creating forums that allow women to share their best practices and create cohorts of their peers.
If I wanted to sum up what women's funding does, I would say that it equips women with training. It empowers women with knowledge, because knowledge is power. It encourages women to do a better job, and the encouragement that comes with the funding is important. And then it engages women, because we form a network. We become sisters. We share the things that we've learned. And when you leave one of the workshops, you're able to go back home with hands-on tools that you can use immediately to make your project work.
You know, being part of the Women's Funding Network and joining and coming together with different funds has given women confidence. It has given women connectedness, and specifically women of color who are not always seen in the trenches of philanthropy, of fundraising, of community work.
Women's funds are the go-to place to make sure that happens. And they are the resource to speak for the unspoken. Women's funds are the resource to give to those who need a step up. And they are the voice who is ensuring an equitable and just society through policy, advocacy, and truth. And women just want to see what's fair. Women just really want everybody to have access to whatever they need to thrive and grow. And I think it's a great thing.
Women's funds work together as a movement, combining their reach and power to create a better world for women and girls. The Women's Funding Network is at a pivotal stage in its history. Major achievements for women and girls have been realized. Women's funds are respected leaders and key resources in their communities.
After 30 years, we're claiming our place and shaping critical social justice agendas, and are proven leaders in philanthropy and women's movement building. We've arrived at the forefront of social change.
We invite you to join us and assert your power to create a better world.